Hello, and welcome to my presentation, Putting the Magic Back into Medicine. My name is Nicholas Matz-Alsop, and I'm an astrologer. I help couples fall pregnant using their personal astrology, which means I use their birth date, time and place to draw a chart, which helps me pinpoint their next lucky or potentially fertile time during which to try any kind of reproductive method, natural, artificial insemination, but especially IVF. I have been working in the field of infertility for 18 years, and I have had many successful outcomes, which are detailed on my website and on my YouTube channel. On a more personal note, I have 2 adult children and have suffered secondary infertility during my second marriage. I have a master's degree from Christ Church University in Canterbury, England, the title of that degree being Myth, the Sacred and Cosmology. So what does putting the magic back into medicine really mean? Well, the magic is everything else that we do while trying to get pregnant. It is the little rituals, the prayers, the setting of intentions on a full moon, a relaxing bath with candles, any activity that brings you to focus on your desire to become a parent. Magic is a positive act of hope. It is a ritual or reminder of your heart's desire. Astrology helps you focus these acts of magic by telling you when to align oneself with the cosmos. Sun sign astrology, or popular magazine horoscopes, use only the sun sign of individuals in order to comment on the quality of the day or month in question, while fertility astrology uses a more complicated algorithm, using all 7 visible planets, thus increasing the accuracy of the prediction and the interpretation. Fertility astrology does not advocate gender prediction, even though there are some techniques that suggest that this can be done. At Fertility Astrology, we take the view that while gender selection may be extremely critical in some cases of genetically inherited medical conditions, such as haemophilia, it is not 100% accurate, and therefore it is ethically irresponsible to practice such selection. Social gender selection is morally questionable and should not be a preferred policy of any branch of fertility astrology. Now let's talk about infertility and how it affects you. Medical science is marvelous. You can have a baby with a uterus transplant. You can use donor egg and donor sperm, and IVF is now commonplace. We are told by the medical profession that 1 in 6 couples will suffer from infertility. Only 85% of couples conceive naturally in the first year of trying, and 30% of the time, the reasons for infertility are unexplained. IVF has a success rate of 65 to 75%, but only if you have 3 attempts of IVF. And a woman's fertility declines dramatically at 36, while for men that age is 48. A lot of numbers, a lot of statistics, but are you a statistic? Do you sometimes feel you're not being seen as an individual? Everyone is different, surely, and while the medical profession can tell you the what, where and how of your infertility, they are unable to tell you when you will conceive. We recognize that you are special, you are the center of your life story, and you have your own unique destiny that is unlike anyone else's. You have your own internal clock and circadian rhythms, and though astrology is a really old technology, it still remains relevant to the human life cycle. Modern astrologers predict the future by taking a snapshot of the sky at the time of your birth. Then they look at where the planets are in real time and how they relate mathematically to their original positions in your own unique birth chart. In this way, astrologers are able to describe the changes in the quality of time frames. For example, if a certain time period is lucky or unlucky based on where the planets will be in the future. This certainly seems like magic. The Fibonacci sequence, or the golden mean, is programmed into nature. In the same way, we can predict where on the stem the next leaf or bud. In astrology, so too we can predict the next change in the quality of time in a person's life story, using the cycles of the planets in the sky in real time. Ancient Egyptians imagined they were closer to God if they behaved like the heavenly cosmos, and sought to literally bring heaven to earth by aligning their physical temples to constellations and by worshipping the rising and setting of the sun. It was only when computers made it really easy to calculate the positions of all the planets for the various longitudes and latitudes of the world as we know it today, that astrology became available to the common man and not just royalty or the elite. In ancient Greece, women used to make clay objects to represent uteri, and they would take them to the healing temples at astrologically important times of the year, where they would leave them behind in order that the god would bless them. Much like today when infertile myrtles arrive for egg transfers wearing lucky transfer panties or socks, thankfully some magical traditions continue, because as it turns out, they are really important in narrative medicine. Modern medicine addresses the mechanical functions of the body and illness, but not the soul. Plato once said, one should not attempt to cure the eyes apart from the head, nor the head apart from the body. So one should not attempt to cure the body apart from the soul. The soul is a source both of bodily health and bodily disease for the whole man. Don't let anyone persuade you to treat his head with this remedy who does not first submit his soul to you for the treatment with the charm. It's 2020 and we have moved on, so we accept that talking therapies can heal. But most medical specialists continue to prioritize the physical body over the needs of the soul, because that's what they are trained to do. Not all doctors are dedicated to this way of thinking, and some who have been researching the placebo effect in academic circles have come to the following conclusion. The placebo effect is actually a meaning response, aimed at triggering self-repair. These same doctors think that hope plays a huge role in healing, and that hope has the power to override pharmacological action. The Harvard Group for Placebo Studies goes a step further and says that for every successful medical treatment, the surgery or drug only contributes 25% to the successful outcome, whereas the placebo effect contributes 75%. Such is the power of the imagination, the inspiring nature of hope. There is no evidence yet of any physical impact we receive from the planets, but as science continues to improve its ability to measure wavelengths in space, it may prove to be the case. But what we do observe is the ability of the moon to move the tides around the Earth, and it is a source of wonder that this regular occurrence is but part of a bigger 28-day cycle that happens to coincide with the average menstrual cycle of a woman. Critics are quick to point out that astrology is not a science, but they assume that because astrology cannot be empirically tested or researched, that it must have no value. But what if astrology functions as a narrative talking therapy that behaves like a placebo? What if astrologers help patients create healing stories of hope through a magical, meaningful connection with the cosmos? What if astrologers offer a valuable missing element in the treatment of infertility, where for at least 30% of the time doctors have no explanation for why conception is not happening? Doctors are really busy. They don't have the expertise nor the time to listen to the story of you, to help you create or to lead you to find meaning in your infertility. Astrology is not meant to replace medical science. On the contrary, it is meant to complement it in answering the question, when? As an IVF patient, you will only have time to do approximately 3 treatments in a year. It is immaterial to the clinic when you do it, and sometimes very stressful for couples to decide themselves. Having an astrologer guide your decisions when to have these treatments, according to your next potentially fertile times, based on your chart, can really help you gain control over the overwhelming and intimidating aspects of infertility treatment. Many people ask about the success rates of fertility astrology, and to be fair, it is difficult to answer that, as most people will obviously either visit a doctor or a clinic to be tested and have their pregnancy confirmed, which means the astrologer is out of the information loop and might never know that the patient was even pregnant. It is more useful to say that astrology is 75% accurate in the confirmation of information in a chart and the prediction of a likely pregnancy. My personal belief is that we are part of a holistic cosmos, which includes the night sky and all the stars and planets, that we are all subject to it, and even though we might not be in possession of all of the empirical or materialistic knowledge, it does not negatively impact on your medical treatment to hold this belief. It is not a belief in astrology per se. It is a belief that we are subject to the cycles of time that are embedded in nature. Astrology is the mass which allows us to see those cycles in action and how they relate to you as an individual, but also as a member of a collective generation. So how can astrology help you improve your chances of success? Astrology can pinpoint potentially fertile times in the future, so an appointment with an astrologer would go something like this. You make an appointment on Skype, FaceTime or Zoom. You send your birth time, date and place for yourself and your partner, and Fertility Astrology will send you a report with highlighted notes in it just ahead of your consultation time for you to refer to. You will then spend approximately an hour on the internet discussing your chart with reference to potential health issues which could be impeding your fertility. Health issues are linked to temperament, which is like saying character is destiny. Time will be taken to explain the timeframes which are potentially fertile, and practical solutions and decisions are explored together to make you feel more in control and less overwhelmed by the process. In today's modern age of technology and knowledge, the age of infodata, there is too much data and not nearly enough story. That is where the magic is to be found, in the unique interpretation of your story. If you would like to know more about how fertility astrology can assist you in your journey to parenthood, please contact us today to set up a consultation.